Young people long to see themselves reflected in politics, striving for leaders who understand their experiences, champion their values, and shape policies that address their future. Whether they are of voting age or not, they are impacted by the decisions of their elected officials. So, we set out to understand what's at the top of these young minds. Their political concerns ranged from more abstract issues, such as accountability in politicians, to more tangible issues like construction.
Environment, and education.
Construction going on all the time.
Accountability, transparency, and trust.
Gun violence in schools.
Historically, young adults are less likely to vote compared to older age groups. In 2020, about 51% of 18 to 24-year-olds voted, a stark contrast to the voting rates of older age groups, such as 65 to 74-year-olds, at a rate of 76%. However, that may be different in 2024. This year, Gen Z youth alone will make up over 40 million potential voters. They also appear to take an interest in politics. 51% of youths ages 18 to 24 say they're, quote, extremely likely to vote in the 2024 general election. That's according to answers to a survey administered by Circle, the Center for Information and Research on Civic Learning and Engagement. Now Kalamazoo talked to young people locally, some who are and some who are not eligible to vote. To collect data about youth's attitudes towards politics, Now Kalamazoo partnered with Nightlife News to send out a survey to Norrix high school teachers, who then passed it on to their students. These students answered questions about political issues, name recognition of politicians, news sources, and political knowledge. Out of the 126 students who responded, more than 3/4 of surveyed students indicated that they would vote if they were old enough. National political issues motivated students. Students' top priority was environmental policy at 64.8%, with reproductive rights and gun control tied for second at 60.8% each. At the Now Kalamazoo Voters Forum, these students were able to voice their concerns, like 19-year-old first-time voter Tanis Grenier.
I would say that my number one is definitely like gun violence in schools. My college, there's not really anything in place to keep the students safe, and that was something that we found out as we were in like lockdown for shooting, which is pretty scary, like to make that realization as you're in lockdown. I think it's just a greater institutionalized issue. I think that it's really imperative that we educate on both like mental health resources, but also gun safety and proper usage.
16-year-old Joshua Bello, who also attended the event, believed that education and the environment were top concerns. He also noted the recent anxiety around gun control, similar to Grenier.
I kind of do canvassing and helping with just voting in general, and we've been going around houses. We ask people what their main concern is, and usually the number one response is environment and education. So I'd have to go with those two as well.
Although teens and young voters feel motivated towards national issues, local issues are less pressing. 17-year-old Norrix student Connor Sloan believes that this is because, generally, young people don't perceive themselves as being an important part of politics, especially at the local level.
As a minor, I have not been exposed to the same sorts of experiences and difficulties that adults experience, and therefore I cannot form a foundational opinion about what people should be concerned about and what I'm concerned about, because I'm not in the ring, so to speak. I'm a spectator right now.
Sloan's sentiments are echoed in the Norrix survey results. Students were asked to rate their political knowledge on a scale of 1 to 5 for both national and local politics. 1 indicated very uninformed, while 5 indicated very informed. For national politics, the average response was 3.12. For local politics, however, the average response was 2.16. When students were given the opportunity to choose their most important issue, many of them simply repeated prior concerns, such as the environment, inflation, LGBTQIA+ issues, taxes, and school and public violence. However, there were some local issues that students gravitated towards. 68% of students indicated that housing and homelessness was their top concern, with education, social inequality, and transportation also being major concerns, particularly in connection to rising immigration levels. Of all of these, 17-year-old James Cook believes that housing is the major issue.
The housing market's a big one, with renting becoming pretty much the only option for anybody in their 20s to 30s.
Grenier echoed these concerns.
I think another big one, watching both debates, was immigration. I definitely have my opinions on how it should be, but it goes back to even ensuring like housing for citizens who are already here, housing for not even citizens, just the housing market being able and being insured for individuals who are of a like sound ability to get a house, to also be able to like keep a house. Like it goes into gentrification, redlining, and all the different things.
Cook also expressed that the recent construction around Kalamazoo is another major issue.
We have a lot of construction going on all the time that causes a lot of backup and like traffic, and some of the roads have been switched around like for the bike lanes. It's great we have the bike lanes now, but now some of the lanes are like really narrow and can barely fit some bigger cars, so they're in the bike lanes or in the other lane.
Despite these concerns, national and local politicians won't be receptive to young adults if they don't vote. Absentee ballots can be requested in person until November 4th, and you can register to vote in person on Election Day, November 5th. Registration will take place at the local government clerk's office.